Hey guys, my name is Desmond from Everest Fortune Group, and we are the official mentors for Investing Note on the SG Active Trading Tournament 2020. So I'll be doing a crash course on what is DLC, how to trade DLC, and just understanding DLC a little bit better. It's a really simple crash course so that we know how to get the most out of the active trading tournament, which revolves entirely around the DLC. All right, so let's begin. Now, we are on Investing Note. So the concept of DLC is very simple. You basically have to focus on the underlying. What do I mean by the underlying? Right? If I think that DBS is going to go up, or if I think that Singtel is going to go up, right? All I need to know is to look at the DBS, look at the Singtel charts, right? That's all I need to do. When I take a trade, all I need to do is to place the trade on the DLC platform, right? But while I'm placing the trade on the DLC platform, whether price goes up or goes down, all I need to do is actually just look at, monitor the main Singtel, the main DBS chart, right? Because the DLC will effectively be very, very closely replicate the price of the underlying. Right. So for instance, right, let's just say that I'm interested in something like maybe Tencent. Right, I'm interested in trading Tencent. Right. You type in Tencent on Investing Note. Right. What you see is that you got a couple of options here. You even have the DLC option. What I recommend you to do is just click on the main Tencent chart. Okay. So with the main Tencent chart over here, you notice you'll be very familiar with this Investing Note platform, right? You can see the charts over here, right? So DLCs, personally, they're very suited for, I would say, more towards swing tradings, a swing trading style where you're holding a position for more than a day, for a couple of days, right? So once you've looked at this chart here and you're like, okay, Tencent seems to be, pretty high up. It looks like it's gonna reverse from here. You can do your own analysis, right? I believe if you want, what's the word for it, right? If you want to look at the intraday chart, meaning that you want to look at the 4 hour, you want to look at a 1 hour chart, you can click on this thing called intraday chart, and what you'll do is you'll take you over to TradingView and you'll load the chart for you. Right, you want to neaten it up a bit, you just remove this, right, and this is the chart, right? Notice the price will always be slightly delayed, maybe by about 15 minutes, right, because it is free data that is given by TradingView. So do take note of that when you're referencing the intraday charts. Right, so after you've done your analysis and you feel like, okay, maybe I'm just going to draw this thing here all the way here. Right, it looks like price has broken this ascending support line. I'm expecting price to maybe go down from here, right? To drop from here. So I am bearish on Tencent. I expect Tencent to drop. So what does it mean if I expect Tencent to drop? I'll come back to Investing Note, right? And if I'm expecting Tencent to rise, I'll click on long. If I'm expecting Tencent to drop, I'll click on short, right? So I'm over here and now I'm going to click on DLC. Basically, this is the code. This is the code for Tencent. You don't need to worry if the last thing is like a A or a B or there's no A or B at all, right? Because Investing Note has worked really closely with SocGen to basically select the most sensitive DLC for you. So always remember, right? Don't just go in and type, because if you notice, right, if you just try to search the DLC, there will be the normal DLC, there'll be the one with A, there'll be the one with the B behind, right? And you might confuse yourself on which one you should select, right? So the easiest way to do that is to look at the underlying, right? Look at the underlying, and from there, you just pick whether you click long or short, and you select the DLC directly from there. So in this case, right, we have the Tencent short Tencent B. Now that we want to short, there's something that you need to know, and let me see if I can find it for you. So this is usually how a DLC kind of looks like, right? The code for a DLC. Now this is like a single stock DLC. What it basically means, let me see if I can put out a little pen to draw for you, right? Is that this is the SGX code. right? The key thing that you need to look at really is this part here, right? How many times is the leverage factor? It means that it's almost as if like if in this case we're looking at DBS, and DBS goes rises, right? This DLC will replicate that rise almost 5 times, right? It's like a leverage style of trading, which is great, right? And long or short, right? So this is either long or short over here, right? And then of course the underlying, right? Underlying can be DBS, the underlying can be Tencent, it can be it can be Genting, it can be many different things, right? But yeah, the underlying, I honestly would focus on the last part of the DLC only. Don't get too confused by it. All right, now let me go back to there. So in this case, right, we can see we are 5 times short Tencent. Exactly. We're expecting Tencent to be bearish here. When you're trading the DLC, one thing that you should focus on is that how DLCs work is that you can only buy a DLC, right? So when you can only buy a DLC, that is why you cannot go long and go short. A normal, like, there isn't just one Tencent, one DLC that's called Tencent, and you can go long and go short. You need to select it. In this example, right? You need to select it if you're thinking of going long. You need to click long. If you're thinking of going short, you click short, right? So expecting price to go down for Tencent. That's why we pick short. We select on it, and then we need to buy. We need to buy this DLC. And remember, when you're buying the DLC, always look at the DLC ask. Right, because the DLC ask is a price where you will supposedly be filled when you buy, and the only time you should look at DLC bid is when you are actually closing off the position. Right, when you're closing off the position, you look at the DLC. Yeah, you just need to look at DLC bid to see what's the price that you'll be filled at. Okay. Now you always note. Okay, I guess I don't need to explain to you how the bid and ask works. But okay, now that we've covered this, let's go on to our next topic. And our next topic, we'll just really quickly touch on the concept of the leverage factor, right? So you can see that this is short Tencent 5 times. The underlying price, right? Tencent actually dropped 3% today, right? And you notice that the DLC bid change, right? It has changed by almost 12%. So that's a little bit more than about 4.5 times of a little bit more than 4 times the actual movement of the of this drop. So you need to wrap your head around the concept here. You can see that prices drop, right? Which is good for someone who has short Tencent, right? You can see that you've essentially in this case, Tencent has went up 12.77%. So we can only buy DLCs. So in this case, right, if you're taking a position on DLC, right, the position would have made 12.77% when Tencent dropped 3%, right? So always remember, look at the underlying. That's all you need to know. Why I say that is because if you look at the chart here, right, it's not gonna tell you too much. It's very different from the chart you look over here. Right, try to look at the chart, and there isn't even an intraday chart for at least if you don't have the proper tools to get access to it. You don't you can't find an intraday version of the chart easily, right? So it's much more accurate and better to refer to the whether it's the intraday chart, the daily chart of the underlying, in this case Tencent, and from there you make your decision whether to go long and go short. Right, the DLC is just for you to execute the trade. Okay, really quickly, I do want to share with you how you calculate a DLC daily performance. Is you need to take the basically how well the underlying asset has performed for the day. For example, Tencent going up or going down by 3%. Right, and then you need to times the leverage factor. So for this competition, if I'm not wrong, we'll be using a leverage factor of 5. Okay, so yeah, it's an exciting style of trading. Okay, now that we've covered this, there's the next thing which I want to cover with you guys, which is what exactly are the underlyings that you can trade with the DLC. It's not everything under the sun, but if you want to find out, what we recommend you to do is to go to this page called dlc.socgen.com. Right, I'm just going to click here, dlc.socgen.com. There are a few ways you can do it, but one of the handy ways, if you just scroll down the site, you see this thing called a product list. Right, you click on download. Right, the thing will download, and when you open it, basically what you'll be seeing is this thing over here. This thing over here, it can be overwhelming. It can look overwhelming and complicated, but what you probably just want to look at is the underlying names over here, right? Of course, the codes, so that you can, if you want to search for them on the investing note, you can easily type whether it's the underlying or the underlying code inside. So I'm looking at here, and there's quite a number of DLCs to trade. So it's not like you are restricted to just a couple of stocks that you can look at, right? I can look at anything, whether Singapore Airlines, right, City Developments, Tencent Venture, one of the most popular ones, right? And yeah, you can see what are the various stocks that are covered and can be traded via a DLC, right? Remember, the concept behind DLC is leverage style of trading. Okay, so let's just say I'm looking at HSBC, right, and I want to trade and maybe I want to look at, I heard something, I did my analysis, I did my research, and I feel like I want to trade HSBC, right? I can either search HSBC, or I can search the underlying code, come into investing note, right? When I can type in the code, better just type HSBC, I guess, right? So HSBC, you can see the one we want to select is, in this case, I believe is this one, yes, right? And of course, we can see the correct DLC to pick, right? In this case, is 5 times long or 5 times short. Okay. And one more way to just look at to find the various lists of DLCs is when you're at dlc.socgen.com. You can just click on products, right? And you can see all the different products over here. Right, you can also see how well they've been performing, the traded value, right? And of course, the underlying, can click on it, and you can easily just search what are the main underlyings here. It's slightly more structured than the Excel sheet that they show you, right? So yeah, it might be easier for you to just come here and look at all the different DLCs that are the underlyings which you can trade DLCs on. Okay, guys. So just to round it off, right, if there's anything I want to say about the DLC, is that it is really, at its core, a very simple product to trade, right? You're not supposed to look at the DLC charts. You're not supposed to try to memorize the names. You're not supposed to try to understand how the complex, how this complex code works. DLCs are very simple. They are basically a way to multiply your returns on any share or any underlying, whether it's DBS, Singtel, Tencent, right? It's your way to have a leverage style of returns. You can actually multiply 3 times, 5 times, and 7 times. For this competition, we'll be using 5 times only, right? But let's just say you're feeling really bullish, or maybe in that case, after the chart we drew, right? After the chart we drew over here, right? We are feeling very bearish on Tencent, and we're expecting Tencent to really plummet, right? If we don't have a DLC, we need to enter a trade, and for every, we don't have a leverage style of return, right? We need we need a very big capital just to get that size of returns, right? But with DLCs, right, we can simply maybe get a 5 times or 7 times DLCs. We short the Tencent 5 times DLC, right? And then if price drops, you have a leverage return from it. Okay, so it's also important to know that DLCs are transparent, right? The prices, it reflects the prices you see on the underlying. Okay, so every investor sees the same price. Importantly, you can buy and sell throughout the day. And because it's very it's very liquid, right? You can actually capture very short-term market moves. You don't only need to be buying all the time, right? So you can, in the case of the example I just showed you, if you feel like if you feel like Tencent might drop, you can actually buy the the short version of the DLC to play the drop, right? And because all the most of the underlying, or rather all of the underlying, are listed on SGX, that is why they are very liquid. You're not going to find penny stocks over there which are not liquid, right? Everything there is listed on SGX and is very liquid, so they are the best. They're basically the best underlyings to trade DLCs on. Okay, so yes, this was a really quick crash course on what DLCs are, right? How to use investing node to make the most out of them, right? Really, all you need to do is just come in here, you find anything that you want, type in DBS, right? Okay, I'm looking at DBS over here. I'm looking at it and looking at the chart. Okay, in this case, maybe there's no chart here, right? Let me pick another one. Let's just say I look at Alibaba. Right, I look at Alibaba here. Right, let me see. Hold on for a second. Sorry, just lost it for a while. Alibaba. Right, if you don't see the SGX version of Alibaba here, all you need to do is to click on one of the DLCs, and you can see what is the underlying asset. Again, this doesn't tell you much over here. You click on the underlying asset, you get to see the bigger picture of the chart. Right, you can get to see the intraday version of the chart. And from there, you make your decision whether you're going to buy, you're going to sell. All right. So we have a lot of there's a lot of discussions that go around. There are estimations on where it might go, depending on the counter, right? There are estimations. I guess if you look at something like venture, which tends to be a little bit more popular, right? You click on venture. Right, you can see all the we can see the estimations that are going on over here. We can see where people are expecting venture to go. We can see the different research, the different announcements, and the different news, right, for each underlying. And this is very useful. This is very useful when you're. This is one of the useful ways to use investing node to really do your research on the underlying before you trade them on the DLC. So that's it from me. I hope you found this crash course on DLCs useful, right? Go out there and enjoy the SG Active Trading Tournament, and may the odds be ever in your favor. Peace out.